Toxic relationships, narcissistic abuse, and domestic violence is 100% preventable, ladies. Yes, it is something that you can 100% protect yourself from. And it is preventable because no man can force themselves to be in your life unless you allow him in your life. And the reason why a lot of women, in fact, most women, are in abusive relationships, toxic relationships, they are with men that are not aligned with them. They are with the wrong man. Most women who are in relationships or who are married are in an abusive relationship or in a toxic relationship, or they are experiencing domestic violence and narcissistic abuse. It's because most women don't know their worth and their value. Most women do not have standards. Most women are desperate for love. Most women settle in partnerships and in relationships. And that is, having standards, knowing your worth, knowing your value, and knowing how to properly vet a man, not ignoring red flags when you see them, is how you prevent narcissistic abuse, is how you prevent domestic violence and toxic relationships. People show their true nature and their true character early on in the beginning. But what a lot of women do, they see the red flags. They see the red flags, but they ignore it. Okay? They know that this man has a long rap sheet. They know he has a criminal record. They know that he has been involved in criminal activity. A lot of women get themselves involved with a man that has been in prison, with a man that has a criminal record, with a man who has a criminal record for domestic violence against women, who has a history of violence against women, and it's on his criminal record, yet she has allowed this man in her life. Most women don't know their worth. That's why you hear these sad stories, these crazy stories, these crazy domestic violence stories that hit the news. On YouTube, there are YouTube channels dedicated to posting content about black crime, crime against women, violence against women, murders that have hit the news, that have gone viral. And ladies, domestic violence, narcissistic abuse, toxic relationships are preventable. You can prevent it as long as you know your worth, your value, as long as you have standards, as long as you are educated on narcissism, as long as you do not ignore the red flags when you see them, as long as you don't settle, you know what you're looking for, and you are not going to settle for less than what you deserve, okay? You can prevent narcissistic abuse, domestic violence. You need to be your own advocate. And, also, if you love yourself, if you respect yourself, those are some of the ways that you can prevent domestic violence, toxic relationship, and narcissistic abuse. So I know there's a lot of women that may not agree with me, but in my opinion, domestic violence is preventable. 100% preventable. Men can try to flirt with you, try to talk to you all day long. There are men, since I've lost weight, I went from 157 pounds to 108 pounds. Toxic men, narcissists are on me like white on rice. They are trying to prey on me. And they can't get in because I know my worth and I know my value. And I'm not going to say too much because I don't talk about my love life. But as long as you know your worth and your value, you have standards, you have boundaries. That's also how you prevent domestic violence, narcissistic abuse, and ending up in toxic relationships, is having boundaries. As long as you know your worth, you know your value, you have boundaries, you have standards, you love yourself, you respect yourself. That is how you are going to prevent domestic violence, narcissistic abuse. Not having those, what I just mentioned, standards, boundaries, knowing your worth, knowing your value. That is how narcissists weasel their way into your life. Narcissists, toxic men, they don't want you to have standards. They don't want you to have boundaries because it makes it easier for them to get in. If you have standards and boundaries, you know your worth, you know your value, you don't tolerate abuse from men, you don't ignore red flags, there's no way for a narcissist to infiltrate your life and abuse you. So, like, I watch a lot of crime. I don't watch a lot of crime videos, but from time to time, I do watch crime videos, especially black crime, domestic violence, about women in domestic violence who were, abusive relationships, who were unalived, because it's educational, and you see, it's good to look at the mistakes that other women have made, to educate yourself, look at the mistakes that other women are making, and learn from her mistakes so that you don't end up making those mistakes. Don't date men without doing a criminal background check on them. Don't date men who have a criminal record, who have, robbed banks, who have assaulted or abused women, who have a history of domestic violence against women or violence against women, who have speeding tickets, who have DUI, driving under the influence. If they have warrants out for their arrest, always do background checks on men. If you do a background check on a man and it comes back that he has a whole bunch of he has broken the law, he has a lot of things. If he has a criminal record, even if it's just one thing, theft, it says a lot about his character. If he has a history of domestic violence against women, do you think that he's going to be any different with you? If he has a history of putting his hands on women, okay, he has not changed. People rarely change. People rarely work on themselves. Most people are not working on themselves. Most people are going to go to the grave. And I know a lot of people will take offense by what I'm saying because it's the truth. Most people are not working on themselves. Most people are going to go to the grave still the same person. It is rare for people to work on themselves. I have done a lot of work on myself, and so most people are not aligned with me. Most women are not on my level. Most women are not aligned with me. Most men are not aligned with me. I'm very selective with, men. I'm not going to allow just any man in my life. And I'm going to kind of cut back on that because I don't talk about my love life. But I say all that to say this, ladies, you can prevent domestic violence. You can prevent becoming, being victimized and abused by a man. Knowing your worth, knowing your value, having standards is powerful. A lot of women are making a lot of mistakes in love. Women are losing in love because they don't know their worth and their value, because they don't have standards, because they ignore the red flags. A lot of women are in a grave because they ignore the red flags. The red flags were right up in her face, glaring in her face, and she ignored it. And the same red flags that she ignored is the same reason why she's in a grave. So I don't want to make this video too long. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next upload.